many, there's an old saying that home is where the heart is. But for many, that saying doesn't apply to them because they can't afford a home. We all remember in 2008 when the housing market collapsed and hundreds of thousands were forced out of their homes because they couldn't pay the bills. Why is that? Well, for many of them, they chose to buy homes that were just way out of their price range to begin with, and then to add insult to injury, they took money out that wasn't theirs to buy said homes. Everyone has this idea of a dream home that they'd like to have one day. For many, it's the stereotypical idea of a two-story house in a suburban neighborhood with a big front yard and maybe a pool in the back. Who knows? But as times have changed and things have become more expensive, it's become obvious that having that sort of dream home just isn't as feasible or viable as it once was. So, how can people have a home without having a home, to say the least? Well, in the wake of all the foreclosures and whatnot, a sort of movement started known as the tiny house movement. This is a group of people and small businesses that are focused on making and living in homes that are no more bigger than this room right now, what you see right now. A tiny house is essentially just a small one-room house where everything is within arm's length. The living room, the kitchen, small bathroom, bedroom upstairs maybe, to say the least. I'm here to tell you why investing in one of these would be a lot better for you than investing in a traditional home. Now, the first question you might be asking yourself is, why on God's green earth would someone want to live in a house that's basically built to barely hold two people? Well, that's looking at it in a negative perspective. When you look at it from a positive point of view, that limited space works to your advantage. How does it work to your advantage? Well, when you live in a large two-story, even a one-story home, you've got a large amount of space to deal with that you have to fill with things, or you feel compelled to fill with things, furniture, appliances, what have you. And then you have to worry about cleaning all that, dusting it, vacuuming it, cleaning the windows, a task that most people have to set aside an entire day just to do. But with a tiny house, everything you possibly need, or every ounce of space you possibly need, is within a 360-degree view or arm's length away. Everything you possibly need, chair, table, which is right there. And as far as cleaning goes, well, set aside half an hour and you can get that knocked off pretty easily. Next big benefit of a tiny house is, of course, the cost. Now, a regular house costs a few $100,000 maybe, and that's just with mortgages and bank loans to help cover the cost. And then, of course, you spend the next decade or so paying it off with interest. However, tiny home, because of its size and whatnot, only costs roughly around $60,000 at best. Now, if you were to pay these off in say $500 monthly payments, that tiny house could be yours. I do mean yours within a few short years, which means you would own it outright, no loans, no debt whatsoever, no outstanding debt, anyways, and no mortgage company to come by and foreclose on you just because you missed one payment. And for many, the idea of actually owning the home itself is a big deal because when you own a large suburban home, you technically do not own it. The bank or the mortgage company that got the money from owns it as collateral for when you fail to pay your end of the bargain. A tiny home, that's yours free and clear. And once more, most tiny homes are built to be mobile. So once you've finally paid it off and everything, you can hook it up to your car and go wherever you so please. You can hit the road and be literally feel at home no matter where you're at. It's essentially like owning an RV except smaller and actually designed to be a house in both appearance and feel. The other cost benefit of a tiny home is that gas, water, electricity, the amount of which is used is greatly reduced and in much less supply. You can wherever you take the house itself, all you have to do is hook it up to the utilities of the area in which you're in, similar to an RV. Of course, the only difference is this place is designed to be your home to actually live in, whereas an RV is simply meant to be a luxury item. This is a house, of course. And because of the low cost, you can finally be able to do all the things you want to do or wish you could do, never afford to because you've got all those pesky bills. But with a tiny house, all those bills are either cut in half, cut down to size, or non-existent entirely because it's about the size of the room I'm in now. If not, the room I'm in now is a little bigger than could actually hold a tiny house in it. That's just how small they are. The greatest advantage a tiny house has over a regular house is that it actually fits. It's designed to be more durable. It's designed actually to be a house. There's no wasted space. There's no clutter. Essentially, it'd be like you could almost call it living rustically, like the pioneers did. Except unlike the pioneers, you can have a plasma screen hooked up to the wall, so you can always watch what you want to watch when you want to watch it. The general idea of a tiny house is to live sensibly, live within your means. And for most people who buy a large home, even though they don't have a family or even a spouse, it's out of belief that they need to have it. Whereas a tiny house, that entails need. As long as you own one of those, you don't have to worry about owning so much stuff. You don't have to worry about owning every little thing in the world. You have everything you need right there when you want it at any given time of day. These types of homes can be found almost anywhere in the country nowadays because they become so popular and because for most people the idea of being able to live a life without debt, now that is a life worth living. It's freedom. Owning a tiny house, for lack of a better word, is living free to do whatever you please. If that's the way you want to live, I encourage you to go out and purchase one of these tiny homes. One of the major companies that builds them is a company called Tumbleweed Housing. Check out their website. They have 4 basic models in which you can purchase from, which come in a variety of sizes and shapes. And if that doesn't please you, they can build you one specially made just for you. All for a fine price of, like I said, $60,000. If that isn't a good deal, I don't know what is.